Hello, everybody, and welcome to our fourth episode of the BILT webinar. I'm happy to see so many people from all over the world, and thank you for those who participated in the previous episodes to join us again, and welcome to all of you who are with us for the first time. So this is the fourth episode of the BILT webinar series, and our topic today is industry partnerships for professional teacher development. Let me start with a few technical information and our rules. For translation, please click on the globe icon in the bar at the bottom of your screen. You can see a globe there, and if you click on that, you can select the language. Please also note that this webinar will be recorded, and presentations and recordings will be shared on the UNEVOC website afterwards. If you want to ask a question referring to the ongoing presentations or discussions, please use the Q&A function. You will find this also at the bottom bar of your screen. If you want to address your question to a specific speaker, please write their names at the beginning of your message. Also, if somebody has asked a similar question to yours, you can upvote this question by clicking the thumb up icon so that we can see that this question is relevant to several participants. This will be helpful to answer all the questions because our experience tells us that there are always very many questions. So for any other issues, for technical problems, for any other questions, please use the chat function. Our colleagues from UNEVOC and BIBB are working in the background to help you. So let me briefly introduce them. We have Natalie X and Felice Muni and Jessica Rosenfeld, who will take care of the chat and the Q&A function. And we have Aldrich Mejia in charge of any technical questions. And last but not least, I would like to mention my colleague Clemens Lobnik from ÖFSE, who will assist me with moderating and will share our presentation here. So before I'll introduce the program, I would like to summarize the main messages from last week's episode for all those who could not be with us. So we started with a Mentimeter word cloud, and this was really impressive and inspiring at the same time. As you can see, empathy was at the center of your answers to the question of what makes good career guidance. So there was much consensus on the importance of empathy. Then we spoke about success factors, and 4 were mentioned in particular. So the first one is ability to observe the mentee. The second one is engaging and committing the mentee to the further planning process. Then working teams rather than a single mentors. And the last factor that was singled out is continuous professional development of mentors. We also had some interesting information on the challenges that many students face in terms of their career decisions. So many of them have difficulties to find their individual track. They choose usually from a very narrow range of familiar occupations because they lack information on what kind of choices could be there. And they rely very often on the teachers' or parents' advice to make career decisions or on little information and do not know the whole picture of possibilities. And last but not least, we had a discussion on how to best include vulnerable groups. So here it was pointed out that it is important for the TVET institution to adopt a specific institutional approach, starting from a vision of the whole community. So this was especially underlined for situations in low and middle income countries, where the institution should not ask the mentee to adapt to the situation, but rather the other way around. The institution should adapt to the situation in the vulnerable community. Then we said that it's very important to cooperate with all stakeholders like families, communities, social services. it's important to offer personalized pathways to the students. And last but not least, we should keep in mind that high-tech solutions are not always a solution to everything, but especially for vulnerable groups, it might be helpful to offer low-tech tools. So these were the main messages from last week's episode. And we will start today's program with a check-in exercise as we did last week. We will do this again with a Mentimeter tool, and you're all warmly invited to participate. But before we do this, I will say a few words on our program today. So after the check-in, I will briefly introduce today's topic with a short explanation of the main concepts in terms of industry partnerships. We will then have an open expert discussion on potentials and challenges of industry partnerships with participants from different institutions and backgrounds. And this will be followed by a session on promising practices. We will have some examples of promising practices from different regions and institutions. And after these short presentations, we will open up the discussion to you in the format of a fishbowl conversation. We had this last week in our third episode, and we received so many messages from you that you had liked the idea that we decided to repeat this format and to again organize a fishbowl conversation after the promising practices session. So I'll say some of the rules right now so that those who are new can prepare, because the experience tells us that it needs some time. So just to explain how this works, it's quite easy. There will be a spotlight on a, so to say, free chair, and all the participants are invited to join in. Whoever wants to sit on this free chair, who wants to take the floor in the discussion, shall write a direct message to Aldrich Mejia from the technical team. He will spotlight you and give you speaking rights. And to allow for several live questions from the audience, we will limit the time for each question to 90 seconds. There will be a little timer on the screen which will indicate the time for you. So if you're interested in taking the floor in the fishbowl session, get prepared. You can already start writing to Aldrich to reserve your spot. And let me warmly invite our participants who speak Spanish or Portuguese to also take part in the fishbowl discussion. We have a perfect interpretation, so you can comfortably speak in your own language. The last session in this webinar will also be an interactive session. We will call this the collective harvesting. Since this is the last episode of a webinar series of 4 episodes, it is time to harvest the learnings from the entire webinar series. And we will do that together. But now it's time to start with the check-in exercise to get you all on board and to also bring in your wealth of experience on today's topic. We have done Mentimeter word clouds in the previous session. This time we will use a Mentimeter open question board. Aldrich, please, can you start the Mentimeter? So please open Mentimeter in your browser. The link is www.menti.com, and type in the code you can see on the slide. And then please answer the following questions. What success factors and what challenges are there in setting up industry partnerships? From your own experience, from your knowledge, from experiences of others. So you're free to just share your wisdom with us. So what success factors and challenges are there in setting up industry partnerships? Please share your experience with us. Let us know about your lessons from experience and write them into the Mentimeter worksheet question board. So we have the first answer, mutual benefits. Yes, this is what it should be ideally, yes. A challenge, lack of common language between TVET providers and industries. Strong communication. I guess this is a success factor, yes. Cost sharing is also a success factor. Shared goals and visions. Another success factor, industry needs to have some sort of interest in your innovation or product. Then we have another challenge, difficulty in seeing the benefits. Lack of incentives for employers. Convincing industry partner to actively participate in training the mentee. Can you please scroll down the board, Aldrich, because I cannot see more lessons. Learning in practice is, of course, a success factor. Adaptability. Thank you. So lack of participation is another challenge. Trust, I guess, is a success factor. Real-time experience is a success factor and a benefit. A challenge is the geographical makeup of the country. This is very interesting. I hope we can go into detail on that. Then another challenge is a limited number of industries, more students and less industry. It's difficult here, this is one in Spanish, es difícil empatar los intereses industriales con los intereses académicos. It's difficult
to match.
To combine the interest of industries with those of the academic side. And we have another challenge, limitation of student placements. We have other success factors or benefits, addressing skill gaps in industry, curriculum co-development, partnerships ensure curriculum reflect real-world skills. Cultural alignment, I'm not sure whether this is a success factor or a challenge, but probably both of them, if it's done adequately. We have another challenge, lack of facilitators to facilitate relationship between TVET providers and industries. Cost of training materials in the industries, commitment of stakeholders. A challenge, training seen as money spent rather than money well invested. And the legislation to guide partnership might be a success factor. I can see that you're going on and on. Low industrial level in the area, inadequate supervision. These are all challenges that I guess some of you are familiar with. So thank you very much for all this input from your side. I'm sure that we will discuss on many of these aspects during today's session. And thank you for participating and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. Before we start with the open expert discussion, let me briefly introduce the main concepts of today's webinar so that we can all start more or less from the same or at least a similar understanding. So what are the benefits of industry partnerships for professional teacher development? We have linkages between TVET institutes and employers that empower TVET teacher education through the acquisition of practical skills, positive professional attitudes, and the gradual development of teachers' understanding of working within industry. So, and some particular benefits is access to the latest technologies and practices, information on level and types of skills currently required in the industries, and the possibility to have relevant and updated TVET curricula and teaching methodologies. But of course, we also have challenges, and many of these, many more than we have here prepared, were named by you just in the check-in exercise. So there is a challenge, a common challenge, which is industry reluctance, the difficulty to convince industries that it can actually gain from these partnerships. And on the other hand, we have very often difficulties among TVET institutions to finding an entry point and to speak a language, common language with the industry. So these are the main key concepts and aspects. Thank you very much. And I'm now happy to introduce the open expert discussion on potential and challenges of industry partnerships. We are happy to welcome 3 experts. Let me introduce them to you. So we have Sergio Pedini from Brazil. Sergio, are you there? Yes, hello.
Hello,
Sergio
good
is
morning, good afternoon.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Sergio is Director of Coordination of Professional and Technological Education at the Ministry of Education in Brazil. Thank you, Sergio, for joining us. Then we have Carlos Hernández Mendocilla. Carlos, are you there?
Hola, hola, hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hola, buenos días, Carlos. Good morning.
Hello, Carlos. Good morning.
Good
¿Me
morning.
escuchan bien?
So Carlos is Development
Hola.
Manager at SENATI, Peru, the National Training Service of Industrial Work, founded by the National Society of Industries. Carlos, are you fine with translation? Okay, great. And then we have Nyamai
Yo todo bien.
Wambua. Hello, Nyamai.
Los escucho
I
bien.
have to admit, I practiced to pronounce the name correctly. I hope I can do it in an acceptable way. Thank you for your tolerance. So Nyamai is Secretary General of the Kenya National Chapter of the Sub-Saharan Africa Skills and Apprenticeship Stakeholder Network, short SASASNET. So welcome to all 3 of you. Sergio, let me ask you the first question. There are a number of successful TVET industry partnerships in Brazil. What are the key factors for setting up these successful partnerships?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I will respond this question in English and the other, if they come, in Portuguese, okay? Okay.
Yes.
In Brazil, we don't have a formalized dual education system as in Europe, directly linked to industry. But we do have examples that come close to this system. I would like to mention 2 of them. Both from the Federal Professional Education Network. In our ministry, we have basically three levels: the basic level, the graduate and postgraduate level, as an intermediary level regarding to this network of federal professional education institutions. This federal network has over 600 campuses spread throughout Brazil, with numerous technology and innovation experience and strong ties to the national industry. One example is the innovation experience, the innovation hubs, and another experience is the technology incubators as a hubs. There are nearly 700 spaces to promote this the innovation and closer ties with the producer levels sector, involving over 1,000 researchers and professors, over 200 technicians, and nearly 38,000 students. These innovation hubs bring companies and school closer together, fostering not only scientific research, but also the training individuals in technology and innovation. These hubs make this approximation with companies and this system of education about technology and innovation. And the technology incubators welcome bring new ideas and support companies to decide the pursuit that if it's possible to create new business about linked to these new ideas. Our country needs a new reindustrialization, and our federal network has a lot to contribute with this project. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sergio, for this overview of two successful projects, or let's say programs in Brazil. I'll pass the floor over to Carlos. Can you give us a bit of your experience on successful industry partnerships in Peru? And maybe line out what are the most important success factors from your experience.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. SENATI in Peru is a training, a TVET system that is distributed in the whole country, created by the national industry. As it was already mentioned in the beginning, one success factor is the commitment of the companies on the system and the search for common outcomes. Main result is to have talent to promote the competitiveness of the industry. So one of the main results that the industry was looking for. And the institution are about 194 years that is being working in Peru, is based on a win-win strategy. This system works because the companies see results that may add value to those companies. Qualified talent, the youth, qualified youth, avant-garde technology that is supported by the research, but also by the companies themselves. So this is a dual system that is adequate to the reality of Peru. The youth are going to work in the companies, in the SMEs companies during their training. This system has generated a high employability and the possibility of companies to recognize young talent to be included in their staff. There is a key element, the education organization is giving results to the companies. So they are obtaining talent, the talent required by the industry. Nowadays, we are talking about AI, cloud-based systems, and so on. This wouldn't be possible if companies didn't participate in the research world. So we have got in touch with companies and also technology providers to generate training spaces so that they place their own technology, a technology that, as we know, is renewed every year, but that requires investment. So this big partnership with the industry, the industry is promoting the industry itself by providing us their technology for the TVET with a low cost, so that we can be updated with the latest technology. So we have been keeping this partnership with the industry in different moments of the organization itself, not only from the management of the institution, but also promoting education and training through the technology that is provided so that we can be updated with the latest technology. So this is a win-win strategy in which the people that are obtaining the benefits are the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for this interesting overview of the situation in Peru. I will pass the floor to Nyamai now for your first statement, please. You are speaking to us from a different region, East Africa, and for an organization covering Sub-Saharan Africa. So what is your experience in that context? What are success factors, and what you have also, we have this particularity in Africa of a huge informal sector, which is also existent in many other countries. So what are success factors in that context?
Thank you very much for that question. And true, of course, you've already put it that from an African context, probably the background is that when you talk about TVET and industry partnerships, perhaps we also need to contextualize industry from the African context, where largely the economy is informal, and we do not look at largely the formal economy, as it were. But having said that, the success factors for TVET industry partnerships in Africa is the appreciation of the fact that a lot of training happens non-formally and informally, not necessarily in the formal TVET system. And therefore, the informal economy is part of the industry. Industry are not necessarily chimneys, small and large investments of enterprises. The reality of the informality in Kenya, therefore, means that learning and skills development or skill delivery is being provided in very, very open and non-institutionalized settings like the informal economy. So the appreciation of the context of the African, and for that matter, if I use East Africa and Kenya in particular, we have a very well-structured informal economy here in Kenya, where the informal economy is organized in associations, and those associations are therefore recognized and appreciated by the formal TVET sector, formal TVET training sector, such that they become the bridges and the entry points for the partnerships. So as SASASNET, we are very privileged to bring together both formal TVET and the informal or non-formal TVET, because they are all skills development ecosystem actors. And that appreciation has become a major success, and it is being replicated from Kenya to Nigeria to many other parts of the African continent. So, and that is also being recognized or appreciated in policy. We are very pragmatic, very progressive policy environment that appreciates that TVET or skills development is also being delivered non-formally. And that is what has made the current experiences, our partnerships with formal TVET, for example, very, very successful. Of course, we are still growing and strengthening the partnerships, because TVET also in Africa is also a new phenomenon. There has been, for the last 20 or 15 years, it wasn't well structured within the broader education system. We used to have basic and higher education, But now the TVET subsector has become very clear, very elaborate, with policy, legal frameworks, and even institutions that are governing and regulating the operations and delivery of TVET. That has also enabled the partnerships so that the industry, and the industry here means employers and employer organizations, including public employer organizations, are also part of industry. Because sometimes we do not think industry is also public. We think industry is only private. So we have industry across the board, or employers across the board, that are requiring learners or demanding skills from the TVET and the training institutions. I think I can leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nyamai, for this overview of the significance of the informal sector and of the significance of appreciate the informal sector also from the formal TVET side. Let me address a second round of questions to our experts, but in the meantime, I would like to invite our audience to post your questions in the Q&A function. We also invite you to upvote any questions that you consider relevant. Please also write the name of the speaker your question is addressed to. Sergio, second question to you, something that we have received from our participants, but we also saw in the Mentimeter exercise that this is a concern to many participants and stakeholders. How actually is it possible to successfully involve industry? We all know that this is not so straightforward. What are your recommendations to do this, to overcome what we find in some contexts, the reluctance of industry to participate in partnerships?
Ok, é uma pergunta interessante.
This is an interesting question.
Nós tivemos num período
So
difícil
we had
no final
a difficult
dos
period
anos 90,
in the end of the
com
90s
a desindustrialização
due
do
to
nosso
the
país.
lack of industrialization in our country
Por importados.
because they changed the products to import. So we are trying to reintroduce industrialization, and these partnerships are crucial and important so that we can continue to develop the partnerships. And this approximation can be done and has been done, as I said, in these examples. The innovation hubs, where there is an approximation, a proximity of industry and our network and our professional training hub to promote these connections from this context, this communication between the sectors. Okay?
Thank you very much, Sergio. Carlos, same question to you. What are your recommendations for successfully involving industry in these partnerships?
Well, based on our experience, the only way so that the businesses may rely on a quality education in which they feel involved is to obtain the results they are expecting. Not the whole FTP, TVET in Peru may successfully involve with the companies, with the industry. In the SENATI, we are sui generis in that way because industrial companies, especially mining companies, this is the main business activity in Peru, are involved in the definition of the policies, in the definition of the SENATI. So the organization structure of the SENATI allows for the industries. This phenomenon is also found in Brazil, such as in the SENATI or in Colombia. So they are part of the directories, are part of the boards in which the decisions are taken that are quickly implemented in the institution itself. So all of that happens in the in the TVET in Peru. This happens in SENATI because SENATI has an autonomous structure that allows SENATI to implement actions that favor competitiveness of the companies. Not only from the talent end, we are also talking about the innovation side. So we have labs in which they are developing talent with the company. So there is a symbiosis between companies and the organizations and the SENATI, and we can see the results. So the companies are part of this assessment group. So that success is a shared success with the companies. So the companies feel they are involved in the solutions found by the SENATI. This has generated trust between companies and the organization itself. And as SENATI has the possibility of implementing actions quicker than the traditional models, this is working. So all of this allows that we have an organization on which we may base this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I understand that the role of SENATI as a structure, as an organization, is crucial for these functioning TVET industry partnerships. Thank you very much. So Nyamai, over again to you. Is this something you also experience in the context of an informal economy, of a strongly informal economy? What are success factors here? How is it possible to successfully involve industry, informal employers, and also small industry?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, we, of course, just like the bigger formal industry, the informal economy and, actors, small enterprises, micro and informal enterprises are also, basically look at partnerships from the same lens in terms of benefits or in terms of bottom lines. Of course, because the informal economy does not have very, established structures. We look at workers and enterprises. They are largely unregistered, most of the time unregulated at the enterprise level. Then one of the success factors is to appreciate the role of intermediaries and workers' associations, or even informal employers' associations. So from an African context, a lot of informal enterprises are always organized in trades and artisans and master craftspersons associations. And they are all sectoral. If you look at people in automotive sector, for example, or industry, people in the textile and apparel, people in the building and construction, people operating in different subsectors. They are always organized in institutional structures. So those will be the entry points for partnerships. And for us in Kenya, for example, we have signed with the informal sector associations here in Kenya. We have signed formal agreements and frameworks of engagement with the State Department for TVET, for example, here in Kenya, just to give an example, with the National Umbrella Associations of Informal Sector Artisans. And that can be replicated by appreciating and leveraging on those intermediaries before you get to the informal enterprises, who are largely tradesmen and women. So that de-risks the partnerships and becomes easy to engage. The second one, related to that in terms of success, is to appreciate that these are individuals in as much as you want to see them as enterprises, because they are family-owned, individually owned enterprises, and they are definitely delivering a critical playing a critical role in TVET and in training. But you also need to appreciate them as human beings and workers, and they have got their rights. So the issues of, standards, labor standards, international labor standards, for example, if I may use that, are very critical, and making sure that there's meaningful dialogue and conversations, open and transparent conversations about what it will be their requirement or responsibilities or expectations against what would be the expectation from the TVET fraternity. So those two for me are critical: social dialogue and meaningful social dialogue, but also structured engagement using intermediaries within the informal sector, as it were. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nyamai. I can see that in the meantime, there have come up a lot of questions to you. So let me have a look what we have here. So one question is, what innovative approaches, such as virtual industry immersions, sectoral hubs, or digital simulation tools, can you suggest to help ensure TVET teachers gain relevant industry experience? Is there someone who would like to take this question? Sergio, for example. This is on innovative approaches, virtual industry immersion, sectoral hubs, digital simulation tools. Is there anything you are familiar with and that you can recommend for application in TVET?
We have dealt with new technologies in our daily routines, and that's fundamental so that we can attend to the productive sector with these technologies. But in our case, specifically in the Ministry of Education, it's very important that we can bring several institutions of education, these technologies to these institutions, so that there is a dialogue a lot more effective with the productive sector to using these technologies. So we have invested a lot in this sector to attend both the productive sector, in specific the industry, as well as the educational system, our teachers, students, and technicians.
Thank you very much. Let's go over to the second question we have here. How can TVET institutions develop and maintain strong relationships with private sector partners to ensure long-term collaboration and success? Well, we had a discussion on this before. However, maybe one of you would like to take up this question. Carlos, what about you? How can TVET institutions develop and maintain strong relationships with private sector partners?
Una manera de mantener, en nuestro caso, es responder de manera efectiva a las demandas que tienen las empresas.
Yes, one way to keep this, in our case, is to respond effectively the requirements of the companies. It's just looking for talent or looking for innovation. With the global competitiveness existing today, the companies are looking for international talent, both for the development of their produce and the development of their resources.
This has to accompany us in a permanent way, and it is not easy to sustain because we need investment, and the only way it is for companies to understand that they get results in the educational world, sharing these results. I have seen that in the chat box we have some related questions with regards if the companies receive, apart from the talent, they get some bonus. In economies just like us, not because of the informal work and for the high rates of unemployment. The lack of talent is so high, so companies, they feel they are being rewarded as long as they get talent in order to become competitive. And they want to pay for this talent. They want to hire these people in a formal way and to invest in education. Always that this comes with results, along with results. And this is what we try to do all the time with our industries, replying to their needs in an agile way. And we have structured it in a model that works despite the high levels on informal work, the political crisis, and the financial constraints. And this works, and we have it. And in reply to another concern I saw in the chat, in a structured way, we have tried to prepare documents to get to know the institution. So a big institution such as SENATI with 130,000 students and 500,000 people registering every year, so that can work in a consistent, homogeneous way.
Carlos.
Thank you.
There is another question which I would like to read out to you. What ways can we encourage both employability and enterprise development in TVET through fostering startups? Can you provide some examples? Nyamai, would you like to take these questions on startups? Or anyone else?
Yeah, well, perhaps, yeah, I can give an attempt. So one, enterprise development, and the space for startups is also a good space for industry and TVET partnerships. Because, of course, startups, most of them, they could be coming from trainees, that are enrolled in TVET, or they could still just be people who are not necessarily in training and they are just entrepreneurs. So TVET institutions can provide a breeding ground. They can establish hubs, business, or what to say, innovation hubs, especially in the age of technology where there's a lot of tech-focused startups. We have a lot of enterprises that start with either digital technologies, solutions, and all that. That is a space that TVET would definitely play a very critical role in partnering with industry. And this is because there is a need, for example, for digitalization of curricula, TVET curricula, for example. There is need for training, using open distant learning models. And these are technology-enabled mechanisms for delivering TVET that can actually be supplied and supported by tech, startups. There's also, TVET is all hands-on and practical and trade-based. There are also startups or small enterprises that are into manufacturing, in design of, engineering tools or innovating around manufacturing. TVET institutions that are well equipped and resourced could provide workshops and tools and equipment and machinery for such, either their own learners or their own students, or even people who are just interested in starting and establishing their own small businesses. So that is an area where enterprise development, TVET, and startups can actually cross the roads and link up and form a very formidable win-win partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There is a last question we can take, and then I think we should go over to our next session. So the last question is, how can TVET institutions measure the effectiveness and impact of their partnerships with the private sector? So the question is on how to measure effectiveness and impact. Who would like to take this question? Does anyone have experience on that, on how to measure the effectiveness? Nyamai, would you go ahead?
I can attempt. I think when these partnerships are established and well structured, one of the ways to measure the effectiveness is to appreciate that, of course, both TVET and industry are not necessarily having the same goal, but they have the same mission, at least their immediate missions. So the way to measure partnership, effectiveness, is to be deliberate in counting, for example, the number of learners that are getting, for example, employable or employed, not necessarily of this partnership, but broader beyond just. I think we need to be clear that the objective for TVET is a bit long-term and societal and more of common good, whose benefits are realized in a longer time. But for industry, the objectives and the benefits are somewhat short-term, for example, especially for those that are smaller. So even the bigger ones, they definitely would need to see their immediate, for example, profit goals. So I think one of the ways to measure effectiveness is to say that let us give it a longer time of assessment. Let us not be too ambitious for quick wins or quick results. But whatever results we get, we need to appreciate and agree that it is for common and societal good. And that patience is what is probably required so that in the long run, the partnership yields results. Thank you very much. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much. I saw that Sergio also wanted to say something on that question. Please go ahead, Sergio.
Eu concordo com a Nyamai.
I agree with Nyamai. It's important.
É importante que haja essa avaliação da empregabilidade, mas nós temos utilizado um indicador que para nós é muito importante, que é o número de patentes registradas. Isso torna efetiva a inovação, né? E a partir desse indicador, acompanhar o nível de elevação de renda das pessoas que se beneficiam dessa inovação, dessa patente, quando entram no mercado. Então, avaliar o número de patentes e a elevação do nível de renda das pessoas que participam desse mercado.
Thank you very much. So this is a very concrete example of the indicator measuring the registered patents. Thank you very much to our panelists for these very insightful and enlightening contributions. Thank you very much. Stay with us for the rest of the session. If I may, I saw that there are some questions directed to some of you directly in the Q&A. If you have time to answer them directly, that would be a great help for us. Thank you very much. We now go over to our next session, the promising practices and fishbowl discussion. We want to do this in a very open format and to allow for your active and live participation. We will have two introductory presentations from two very different regions and institutions. I will introduce our presenters to you in a minute, but first I would like to repeat the rules of the fishbowl discussion so that everyone can prepare and take some time to engage. So, and Clemens, could you go over to the next slide where the rules are in Spanish and Portuguese as well? Yes, so thank you very much. So the presenters will be spotlighted and you will see one empty spot, which symbolizes our free chair. Any of the participants who has a question or wants to make a statement, wants to share an experience, is invited to sit on this free chair and to share their thoughts with us. If you want to do so, please send a direct message to Aldrich from the technical team. He will spotlight you and give you speaking rights. And we would also like to explicitly encourage our colleagues from Latin America to participate. We have interpreters in Spanish and Portuguese, and you can easily speak in your own language. Thank you very much. Clemens, could we go back to the previous slide, please? Yes, thank you very much. So we are very much looking forward to your bookings of the free chair. Aldrich is already taking your reservations. So let me now first introduce our speakers. We have Ljubica Cvetinovic from the Chamber of Commerce in Serbia. Hello, Ljubica. Thank you for joining us.
Hello,
Ljubica
thank you for
is a
inviting me.
senior advisor in the Department for Dual Education and Educational Policies at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia. And our second guest, our second presenter is Arko Dometey from Accra Technical Training Center in Ghana. Hello, Arko. I'm happy to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Arko is principal of the ATTC in Ghana. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
So may we start with Lydia? Lydia, what is the role of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Serbia in teacher and trainer development? And what success factors are there from your experience? The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for this opportunity to share our experience in dual and VET education in Serbia. I have to say that Chamber was initiator of dual education in Serbia. So our role in a dual system is very important, and it's the same when we talk about instructor trainings. Our role in instructor trainings is the most organizing and implementing. The Chamber actually aligns the training content with the labor market requirements and the regulations on dual education, of course, in cooperation with the relevant institutions, such as the Ministry of Education and the Institute for the Improvement of Education. After completing the training, our candidates for instructors take an exam, and when they pass that exam, the Chamber actually provides an instructor license, and only with that license, instructors can work with the students on work-based learning in the company. Therefore, we can say that the Chamber actually has not only regulatory and organizational, but also an educational role in instructor training, ensuring a qualified workforce for realization of work-based learning, and strong connection between education and the economy need.
Thank you very much, Ljubica. Are there any success factors that you can single out for successful partnerships in your experience?
Yes, definitely. I can say that we generally serve as a bridge between the world of education and the world of work, ensuring that training programs reflect real labor market needs. So.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Here she is. I can see you. Hello, Grace. Grace Titi. It's good to see you. Can you tell us shortly where you're from?
I'm from Kenya. I'm a TVET trainer. and very passionate about what the reforms that are taking place in Kenya. And I'm very much, I've been following the discussion, especially in terms of how the industries are linking with the TVET institutions. And one thing I would want to maybe to weigh into is that aspect of the industries in Kenya being a bit unstructured compared to other countries, and not being able to accommodate a lot of students. And I would just want to maybe to put an input in terms of how the TVET institutions can fast track this by having some business hubs within the institutions, especially now that most of the institutions have been equipped a lot. They can make use the micro, small, and medium industries can actually make use of the industries that there is, not industries, equipments that there is within the institutions to be able to build the capacity of the small industries as they continue coming up. So, but that is something that can be done in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace, for this statement. I can see that Arko has come back to us. Hello, Arko. Thank you for joining us again. I hope that everything works out now. So Arko is the principal of the Accra Technical Training Center in Ghana, and I understand that you have prepared a presentation for us. Is that correct, Arko?
Okay, so
Great.
My name is
Yes.
Arko Dometey, and the principal of Accra Technical Training Center. ATTC was established briefly in 1960s, and the whole idea of the establishment of the school was to be able to train technical or middle-level technicians to feed industry. Some of the practices in terms of having school industry partnership around 2023, 2024, we had partnership with Grohe, Severin, and Vilo. What we have about 17 programs in the school, that's traits. And what we do is that we are trying as much as possible to link up each of these departments or trade areas to industry. Once you do that, what you do is that you build teacher capacity, and through you are able to also build students' capacity through training. So if we look at some of the things, we build bridges between industry-school collaboration for teacher development. We look at clear objectives, ensuring alignment with both industry and school needs. And then we have mutual benefits, where teacher professional development, internship, mentorship, guest trainers from industry visit the school, and industry access to fresh talent. Students equally get improved by employability skills and career guidance. If we look at 2023, the plumbing department, this was the situation of the plumbing department. And as you can see, and through the collaboration between Grohe, Severin, and Vilo, you find out that it has actually been uplifted to the standard, which is actually bringing both staff and students up to speed with current trends and needs and relevance in industry. We look at these images here. This is also another collaboration between Bosch and Accra Technical Training Center. The whole idea was to build a training booth at the center where staff within the automotive, carpentry and joinery as mechanical and mechanical engineering will also be trained by Bosch trainers. So they come to the school, they train the staff on new tools and equipment so that they can in turn also deliver to the students. So we look at this particular partnership also. We have another partnership with Cummins Ghana. And then with Cummins Ghana, one of the benefits that Accra Technical Training Center is deriving from Cummins is that they have actually uplifted the image of the electrical department and then the automotive department in terms of the classroom facility. In terms of, first and foremost, what they did was to engage one university in Ghana to come and assess the teacher capacity as to whether they will be able to deliver and whether they are relevant to the training they are delivering in ATTC, especially in the electrical and then the automotive department. So after the assessment, we were able to see the gaps. And then after the gaps, the Cummins actually brought in experts to train the teachers to be able to also teach the curriculum and train students in that area. So industry participates in gender programs. So here is a clear case where Cummins is very close to the school. And then when we look at the image on the right-hand side, you find out that students are being interviewed by industry players to prepare them for the world of work. So the whole idea is from the beginning of their training till the end of their training and what industry expects after the student had actually completed. So if you look at the electrical department before, this is some of the images you see. If you look at on this where the cursor is, this is the new electrical department, and then the auto department by collaborating with industry. So we've had several collaborations. Example is Ethical Apparel Africa, where we have pattern making, mechanical training, in factory training, and all in all, we have about 12 partnerships with industry players, and this has really gone a long way to first and foremost update the skills of trainers. It has also been able to retool and re-equip the various departments, and this has also improved teaching and learning in the school. I think one most important thing is that there is this integration of relevant programs which are found in industry. So for example, Cummins come in, they look at the gaps within the curriculum that we have, and then they integrate it so that these will be taught for the students and staff to be relevant when they go to industry. So basically, this is some of the practices or best practices that ATTC is really now doing to be able to give training to the students.
Thank you very much, Arko, for these very interesting examples. I can see that we have another candidate for our free chair, Manar Eldin. Manar, are you there?
Sorry, Margarita, let's go to Grace first.
Okay.
Yes, there's Grace, Miss Grace TT is here.
Okay, so I see that there was a misunderstanding. We had several Graces. Okay. Hello, Grace again. So then the floor is yours. Now it should work.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Grace Titi. I'm a principal at Sabatia Technical and Vocational College in Kenya. Sabatia is in the western part of the country, and I wanted to share our best practice on the implementation of dual training through small and medium scale enterprise partnerships. I'm happy because from the discussion we had earlier, it was majorly on the SMEs. So Sabatia has adopted a unique model whereby we have integrated the SMEs as our main collaborators for partnership for dual training. Initially, we started with institutional management and automotive engineering students, and we managed to identify 18 industries for partnerships within the locality, that is within the region where the institution is established. And we have managed to train 228 trainees out of this. The beauty of this form of partnership, our trainers are also developed professionally because they go with the students through the process. The program is also developed integrating the industry partners to come up with the schedule and the guideline on how we are going to train. So you'll find that a percentage of the training is done in the institution and a percentage of the training is done within the industry. We have realized that the engagement with the SMEs has really helped our students to be hands-on, because within the local enterprises, that is the SMEs, they engage so much in a lot of practicals, yet they have very few personnel. This opportunity enables our trainees to train so well because they have time to work for the industries, at the same time they are engaging practically and getting experience compared to the large-scale industries where production is limited and specialized to specific skills, and the trainees are not given too much time to do things that they are supposed to do. So we appreciate the fact that we did this, and our trainees now have enhanced skills, and it has also helped us to improve their employability skills. This has also strengthened the linkages between the industry and the institution within the locality. Thank you very much.
I just noticed that I'm muted. Sorry. Thank you, Grace, very much for this interesting example from Western Kenya. So we have our next speaker, Manar. Are you there? Manar Eldin is the next one who wanted to take the floor. Okay. Aldrich, is there okay, I can see that there is a problem with the device. Manar, maybe you can post your question or your comment in the Q&A function. And we go over to a next speaker.
Very well. Cliff Benson here from Boma College. Boma College is located in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'd like to make a contribution about just following what my colleague Grace has contributed on. It's about dual vocational training. So as Boma, we have also gone so much into dual vocational training and have been able to train quite a number of trainees in hospitality, tunes of up to 800 trainees with a retention rate of up to 44%. So one thing that has really worked for us as Boma College, just to contribute, is the importance of mentorship and coaching to trainees, coupled with the industry. So it's a partnership between the industry and the institution, whereby we're able to work together to offer mentorship and coaching.
Oh, hello. Okay, thank you very much.
You can hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, good. So just being able to, you can go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right, just being able to recognize the importance of mentorship and coaching to these trainees while they are in the industry, because we realize that once we are adopting a dual vocational training, then the challenge is the trainee will know what to do once they are offered good guidance, and the importance of now being able to train the industry on how to offer good mentorship and good coaching to these students really counted a lot in terms of retention of the trainees in the industry. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you for sharing this experience. So here is a question. What mechanisms do you use to ensure subject-specific didactics are integrated in training of the trainers? So this is a very specific question. Would anyone like to answer this question? What mechanisms do you use to ensure subject-specific didactics are integrated in training of the trainers? Ljubica or Arko, would you like to answer this question?
Well, I could say that from our perspective, from the chamber, as I mentioned before, we collaborate with our colleagues from Institute of Development of Education. So they are familiar with that didactical, methodical instruments, and all of that is implemented in our training programs for instructors. So we don't do that program alone. We do that with our colleagues from, if I could say, school side. So instructors need to be familiar with that topic.
Thank you very much. Arko, would you like to answer as well? Would you like to add something on that from your side? You are muted. Hello, Arko?
Hello, sorry, today I'm having challenges with my network.
I'm sorry to hear that, but we can hear you now.
Thank you.
So the question was, what mechanisms do you use to ensure subject-specific didactics are integrated in training of the trainers?
So basically what we do is that Accra Technical Training Center is a government training institution. So if we have issues in terms of training of trainers, we contact industry, like I mentioned earlier on. So what we do basically is every quarter, if we pick the automotive section, they go to industry. So this year, for example, they have been to 10 teachers have been to the industry directly, where their experts take them through before they come back to the workshop to train the students. So a minimum of 22 days annually, but at least every quarter, you have to visit the industry 10 days for every quarter, making it 10 times 4 quarters, which is 40 days within the year per teacher.
Thank you very much.
That is the approach ATTC uses.
Thank you very much, Arko. So there is time for another question, unless there is some request for the free chair. Ulrich, have we anybody who would like to take the floor from the audience?
As of the moment, no one is expressing that, but you can also click on raise hand if you wanted to.
Oh, yes, right. So this makes it easier, maybe. Thank you. So we have some more questions here. One question from Egypt. What incentives could encourage companies to expand their involvement in TVET? Would anyone like to answer that? I guess this might be a challenge in many countries. Ljubica, what about Serbia? Do you have that that question of incentivizing companies to get involved in TVET?
Yes, I believe that is the challenge for all of us, and that is definitely one of our biggest challenge, because we think that we still need to work on that change mindsets in our country when we talk about dual education and so on. Some employers still don't see dual educations like investments. So on the other hand, we have schools which are hesitant to open up to our business cooperation. So we need time to building that trust and understanding. So that it needs time for that. So it's a huge challenge for all of us.
Thank you very much. Arko, some words from your side on that question. On incentives, whether incentives could encourage companies to expand their involvement in TVET.
I think basically the greatest incentive is the fact that we are able to train well-skilled students who will be relevant in industry. But then we still have a challenge as a country. For example, if you pick my school, ATTC, for example, you have about 3,061 students. Now, if you pick the automotive students alone, they are about 400. Now, 400, how do you even attach them to the various industries if you have limited industries? How do you really motivate them to be able to pick them? So for in-company training, it is a whole total package that as a country in Ghana, we have to really look at it so that we can really involve companies to be part and parcel of our training. So it is something that as a country, we are still working on it.
Thank you very much. I think it is time now to close this session. I can see there is someone for a free seat, so we allow for this last intervention. Yes, please, Aldrich. Who is the person who would like to speak?
So we have, thank you, Margarita. So we have Mr. Gustavo Garcia Trujano.
Hello, Gustavo. Welcome. Thank you for taking the floor. Please ask your question or share your experience with us.
Hi, hello, good
Floor is
morning,
yours.
good evening, good night, everyone. Greetings from Mexico City. We want to share that we are a high school, a sport high school program that seeks to find a way that develop some alliances with institutes, private or public institutes in which sports are developed in order that our students are training as technical sports training can be in that places. In this way, we have found some difficulties within the dual education system because we believe that this system is mainly at the industrial process. However, we continue working on the way, and basically it's a pleasure to be able to share with you. And thank you for the time.
Thank you very much for your contribution, and thank you to all our participants, to our speakers, Ljubica and Arko, for these very interesting, promising practices. Thank you for the contributions from outside Kenya and Mexico. We are approaching the end of this seminar, of this webinar, which is also the end of our webinar series. We have had 4 highly interesting sessions on different aspects of TVET for employability. Let me just recall them briefly. We've discussed about work-based learning in our first session, on dual TVET in our second session. Career guidance and mentoring was the subtopic in our last week's session. And today in the final episode, we have been discussing about industry partnerships for professional teacher development. So personally, I have learned a lot, and we do hope that the series was helpful and insightful to all of you. And in order to strengthen this collective learning experience, we would like to do something like a harvesting exercise together with you. Our tool will again be Mentimeter. Please, Ulrich, could you share the link and the code? So please open again the Mentimeter browser and type in the code that you can see here on the slide. So international experience was a very inspiring exercise, experience, sorry. Esperanza, so hope, learning from one another, good learning. Exposure, people from all over the world. Oh yes, indeed, we had a very diverse audience. The level of coordination, peer learning, exchange, the international perspective, a real global experience or real global experiences. Validation of experience. The Kenyan insight was a good learning I can see here. Partnership. Worldwide experience. The cloud keeps growing and I have difficulties to read everything. Collaboration is another one. Global experience on TVET. Perfect knowledge shared. What others are doing. This is always a good learning. What others are doing. Peer learning. Transformation. Connected topics. Eye opener. This is good feedback. Thank you. Getting insight globally. Dual training approach. Same challenge is conquered. This is indeed a good experience to see that other people have similar challenges and how they conquered them. I love everything shared. Thank you very much. This is a nice feedback. Improved use of technology. Same challenges I read somewhere. Incentive engagement. Okay, I can see that these are very important and also very inspiring learnings. Thank you very much for your feedback on that. So we are almost at the end of our webinar today. Before we close, I would like to give the floor to Natalie X. She is a project manager of the BILT team for some farewell words. Natalie, the floor is yours. Yes, we can hear you now.
Wonderful. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you, Margarita. Thank you, colleagues, all the speakers who we had today and also in the previous sessions, dear participants. So yeah, as we draw this webinar series, Skill Up, Stay Ahead, TVET for Employability, to a close, I really want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has shared their experience, expertise, and also your energy over the past 4 weeks. It has been a small marathon, but I think it was very, intense and in a positive way. All your contributions have transformed this series from being just a compilation of presentations into really a dynamic global dialogue on the state and on the future of technical and vocational education and training. And I think I can say on behalf of the organizing team that we really enjoyed the experience of this webinar series, because we saw that delving into questions around employability, we really touched upon a topic that is of great interest and that resonates in the global TVET community. I can share that I think both as a series and also as individual sessions, this has been surely among the most or the best attended learning labs since we started organizing them within the BILT project. I'm sure, as we saw from the word cloud just now, each of us has their own special learning moment or a particular contribution that you found most insightful or most rewarding. And I really have to say that I personally enjoyed this wealth of experience that was shared, and the interest and the commitment that could be felt throughout the series from participants as well. And this willingness to join the fishbowl, for example, it's also something that was new for us, that we learned and really enjoyed to see how it works. And as Carlos from SENATI put it earlier, it has been a shared success also in this context. I think for us at UNESCO-UNEVOC and within the BILT project as well, we recognize that partnerships and collaboration between TVET providers and industry and the employers remains a topic of very high interest and relevance. We saw the many shapes that these partnerships take, different levels of formality. Today, I really like that we also spoke about these partnerships, not only for training students, but also for training and upskilling the trainers and teachers at our TVET institutions. So we will surely continue offering a platform for exchange, for peer learning, and for sharing guidance on this topic. And in fact, we will continue discussing it already next week in one of the sessions at the Global TVET Forum 2025 that is happening in Berlin. And you are invited to join us online there as well. Furthermore, I think the importance of appropriate career guidance and mentoring became very clear in the previous session last week, when we learned how comprehensive and personalized guidance really serves as a compass for learners, not only to help them build confidence, but also clarify possible pathways, reducing the risk of dropouts as they embark on their careers. And again, in this context, we saw how important it is to capacitate the staff, the mentors, to offer these services as a clear requirement and a task also for us to work on in the future. So I want to thank again all our speakers for sharing your insights, for mapping out the practices that shape TVET everywhere around the globe, literally. I thank our participants for your thoughtful questions, your collaborative spirit that have enriched each session and have underscored also our shared commitment to learner success and also to our own learning from each other. So looking ahead, let's carry this spirit and this curiosity into our own institutions. Also the lessons that we learned, let's take them into policy dialogues, into the partnerships we are building. I think by integrating further work-based learning, strengthening dual systems, strengthening mentoring and guidance, we can build TVET ecosystems that are more resilient, more inclusive, and future-focused. So let's ensure that all learners have the skills and the support they require and the confidence to keep up with the pace of change and the transitions, and also to lead them themselves. So let me finish by thanking my colleague Felister and Margarita for all the preparatory work, for the communication and coordination with the speakers, and all your professionalism behind the scenes. It has been a pleasure. I also want to thank Jessica and Clemens at ÖFSE, BIBB and ÖFSE for their support. My colleagues at the knowledge management and IT and for the technical support and communications, Max, Aldrich, Nicola, and of course our interpreters who have been with us throughout all the 4 sessions. Thank you very much, and thanks for your time, and see you soon.
Thank you, Natalie. I think I do not really have to add anything to this. Maybe just that we would very much appreciate if you took a minute to fill in the feedback forms. Can we have the QR code again? Clemens, please. It's here, okay, and it's also in the chat. Thank you very much. Also from my side, I would like to thank as well all speakers, my colleagues who have been working behind the scenes, and also you, dear participants. I've learned a lot personally, and I think we have all together given a really a spirit of cooperation to the global TVET community. We are looking forward to seeing you again at the Global Forum, maybe next week, or of one of the next BILT Learning Labs. Thank you very much, and have a good day or good evening wherever you are. Thank you. Bye-bye.